For the past 2 centuries, Torshelley House has stood overlooking a deep loch in the Scottish Highlands. Its new master was Lord Torshelley, an Englishman. The local population perceived him as both reclusive and eccentric. Rumors surfaced that the new master practiced the dark arts. The Order of the Azure Mist recognized him as a sadist under the real name Carol Wayside. 4 members of this order set out to visit his Highland residence, hoping to dissuade him from his delusions of summoning a higher angel. Research suggested that such an endeavor would result in summoning something entirely evil. Detective Robert MacDonald of the Inverness Constabulary felt reassured by the weight of a revolver in his pocket. Major retired Roderick Flewelling, a former Grenadier Guard, walked briskly up the road, puffing on a cigar. He knew precisely where his revolver was, should the need arise. Mr. Everett Holloway, an academic occultist and lecturer, hummed nervously in the growing dusk. He hoped to reason with Lord Torshelley. And Miss Sarah Winthrop, the final member of this group, a mystic with experiences in dark realms and a yearning for the numbing effects of heroin to escape the darkness. She believed there was no hope for the increasingly unstable Englishman residing in Torshelley House. Welcome to Nosh Solo.
Gosh, really got some nice toys here.
All right, so here we have the image of Torshelley Manor, or Torshelley House, overlooking a loch in the Highlands of Scotland. A very sinister-looking image, if you ask me. So, why don't we begin by introducing our protagonists, and let's start with Everett Holloway. So, Everett is an academic. He's a lecturer. He is an occultist. I'll bring up his character sheet here. So he's 42, 5 foot 6 inches, 145 pounds. He's got strength of 11, dexterity of 10, IQ of 13, health of 10, hit points of 12, willpower of, or will of 13, perception of 13, and fatigue points of 10. He has occultist level 2. He has spirit empathy. And spirit empathy means he's in tune with spirits and receives the benefits of empathy when dealing with them. So he can get a feeling for the general intentions of any spirit he encounters by making a successful IQ roll. As well, his influence skills work normally on spirits, which sets him aside from most mortals. Okay. He then has charitable for a disad, delusion, minor, all tales of the occult are true. He's hidebound. He's incurious. He's a light sleeper. He has the odious personal habit of continual humming. And he has pacifism, self-defense only. And so if we take a look at that, it says here that you only fight to defend yourself or those in your care, using only as much force as necessary, so no preemptive strikes allowed. You must do your best to discourage others from starting fights. Okay, he has the following quirks. He's allergic to strawberries, circambulates rooms, he can't stand still, compulsively cracks knuckles before any activity, he constantly checks his pocket watch, and he laughs to himself for no apparent reason. He's also unfit and has xenophilia on a 12 or less. For abilities, diplomacy, he's got expert skill, occult sciences, fast talk, guns, pistol, intimidation, occultism, research, ritual magic, hermetism, and symbol drawing, hermetism, and writing of 13. He has no melee skills to speak of, except he has a range skill of guns. So we'll jump to that. He has a Webley Royal Irish Constabulary pistol number 1. in Webley 442, which does 1d plus 2 piercing plus damage. For defenses, he's got really shoes and ordinary clothing. So for this time period, appropriately quote-unquote armored, I think. And he's got 6 rounds for his Webley. Shoes, ordinary clothes, and then his Webley itself. And I built him off of the, I believe, the academic template for from GURPS Horror. He's got a 60-point total for character points. So that's Everett. Let's go and take another look here at, how about Major Retired Roderick Flewelling? Look at that distinguished-looking fellow. So I built him off of the retired soldier template for GURPS Horror. He's 58, he's 5'9", 180 pounds. He's got strength of 11, dex of 12, IQ 12, health of 12, hit points of 11, willpower of 12, perception of 12, and a fatigue point total of 12. And he has courtesy rank because he's retired as a senior military officer. He has fearlessness level 2. He's fit. He has high pain threshold and independent income of level 2 as a military pensioner. He's got chronic pain. He's got a soldier's code of honor. He has a debt level of 3. He's a fanatic about British imperialism. He has mild flashbacks. He's gregarious. He has one eye, which means that will impact his firing of his pistol unless he takes an aim maneuver. He's overconfident. And he always has change to give to the needy. He does not like children. He loves brandy. He's pale in complexion. And he smokes cigars when drinking brandy in particular. All right, let's go and look at his abilities. So he's a boxer, a fairly good boxer. He's fairly good with his pistol, and he's got guns, rifle, fairly good with that skill too. He has leadership, navigation, land, riding, equines, savoir-faire military, soldier, and teamster equines. For combat, let's take a look at his boxing. He's got a level 13, does 1d minus 1 crushing with a punch, and has a parry of 9. For ranged, he is carrying a Webley Mark IV in 442. That is pretty standard for the period for a British service revolver. And so he's got 6 shots in the, he's got 6 rounds in the cylinder. And for defenses, he just has his shoes and ordinary clothing. Inventory-wise, he's got 12 rounds of 442, his shoes, his clothes, and his Webley. So yeah, 90 points built on the retired soldier template from GURPS Horror. Let's continue down the line. We've got Robert MacDonald here. So Robert MacDonald, he is built off of the detective template from GURPS Horror. So he's 42, he's 5'6" and 155 pounds. He's got strength of 10, dexterity 11, IQ of 12, health of 11, hit points 13, willpower 13, personality of 13, and fatigue points of 11. Traits, he's got combat reflexes, legal enforcement powers, and police rank. He's got alcoholism. He's callous. He's got the police's code of honor. He's curious. He has a duty to the Inverness Constabulary. Mild insomnia. Nightmares. Overconfident. He always wears a specific brown lounge suit with a bowler hat. Calls everyone by a pet name. Cannot sleep without some light. He's a hesitant sneezer and puts HP sauce on everything. For those of you who aren't from the British Isles or the Commonwealth countries, HP sauce is basically a brown sauce that was developed somewhere in the late 19th century, I believe. And anyway, very popular. And he's a workaholic as well. For abilities, he's got area knowledge for Inverness and the Highlands. He's a boxer. He's got criminology, detect lies, fast talk, guns, pistol at 14, intimidation, lockpicking, observation, running, savoir-faire police, search, shadowing, stealth, streetwise, and tracking. His boxing skill is 12, and he has a damage of 1d minus 2 crushing. For ranged, he's also packing a Webley Mark IV and has that at skill level 14. It's got 6 rounds in the cylinder. Defense-wise, again, like the others, he has shoes and his clothing. Inventory, he's got 12 rounds of Webley ammunition, shoes, ordinary clothes, and the revolver itself. And he's built on 80 points. Okay. And that should bring us to Sarah Winthrop. And Sarah here, I just love how this image came out. She's 32, 5'6", 124 pounds. She's got a strength of 10, dex of 11, IQ of 14, health of 9, hit points of 10, willpower 14, perception of 12, and fatigue points of 10. She has some psi ability. So she has psi talent of 2. She has the psi ability of ergokinetic shield at level 4 and psychokinetic lash at level 1, and has the unusual background of psionics. Now you might be wondering, why the unusual background? And the simple reason for that is I decided to use the Dungeon Fantasies Psi book to build and to rule on these Psi abilities. I just like the way that Psi is depicted in Dungeon Fantasy. It keeps it simple, and because what I'm doing here is not running a campaign, but running combats, I just like the approach that it has, narrowing down the skill set to what would dungeon delvers need in terms of psi powers. So that's the approach I took. Now, she has an addiction to heroin. She has a sense of duty to her adventuring companions, and she has stubbornness. Her quirks are, she corrects others' grammar. She hates cooking. She hates to walk through muddy ground, but she likes the rain, and she picks up small objects to examine them. For her abilities, she has body language, current affairs and supernatural, detect lies, diplomacy, dreaming, first aid. She has innate attack gaze, and occultism. I've listed her power, her ergokinetic shield. Well, when I introduce Carol Weisheit, the antagonist, I'll go through over all the psi abilities here. For combat, she's not trained in unarmed, but she does have this psychokinetic lash in level 15, which does 1d crushing damage, has an AC of 3, range of 10/100. For defenses, now you'll see here her DR is quite high for someone who's just wearing normal clothes, but this is the DR that her ergokinetic shield would give her if she had it activated. Otherwise, these would all be 0, the skull would be 2, and the shoes would be 1. Inventory-wise, she has shoes, ordinary clothes, and a purse. Okay, I built her off the... did I build her off a mentalist template for Dungeon Fantasy? Or did I build her off the Psionist template from GURPS Horror? I think it was the Psionists template from GURPS Horror. She's 80 points. Okay, the baddie. Here we go. So we've got Carol Weisheit, and his image is this. So I tried to depict him from period pictures of occultists and spiritualists of the time. Apparently this pharaoh's headdress was something. So I've given him a little staff or stave and some robes and some occult book here. He's 34, 5'8", 190 pounds. A large-boned man. He's bald and has a piercing gaze and teeth that stand crookedly irregular in his mouth. And no, that's not your that bad British teeth thing. Not at all. I'll explain that in a little bit, why that might be. Strength of 10, dexterity 12, IQ 15, Health of 12. Hit points 13. Will of 16. Perception of 15 and fatigue points of 18. He has quite a few powers. Beyond extra fatigue, IQ, and will, he has Psi Talent 4. He's got Ergokinetic Shield at level 4. He's got Madness at 1, Mind Blast at 1, Mind Reading, and he's got Pyrokinetic Bolt of 2 and Telekinesis of 12, and the unusual background of psionics. Disadvantages-wise, he's got Bully, Curious, he's intolerant of stupid people. He has a short-term obsession here, Summon his Higher Angel. He's a sadist, and he's selfish, and he's stubborn. His quirks are, he flirts easily, he presents no, maybe perceived shame, he's pretentious, and his teeth are oddly shaped. Does that mean they're filed? What would that infer? And he gives uncomfortable eye contact when speaking, so that's kind of what I tried to imitate here in the image. Let's look at abilities. He's got body language, climbing, cloak, fast draw sword, fast talk, first aid, hidden lore, Goetia, and hidden lore hermetism. Not sure I'm pronouncing Goetia correctly or not. He's got innate tech gaze, mental strength, mind block, occultism, research, small sword, and stealth. His powers, he's got ergokinetic shield, madness, mind blast, and mind reading. Combat-wise, he's got a small sword, which does 1d minus 1 impaling damage. Ranged-wise, he's got a pyrokinetic bolt at level 17 that does 2 dice burning damage and has an accuracy of +3. And he's got this telekinesis strength of 12. But his level with that in terms of manipulating that ability is 16. So we'll go and take a look at those things in a little bit. His defenses are, again, if he had that ergonomic shield up, his DR would be increased by 4. But if he doesn't have that shield up, then it's like everyone else. 2 for the skull, DR 1 for the feet, because of the shoes. And his inventory. He's got shoes, a light cloak, ordinary clothes, and a small sword. And I built him off of the Mentalist's template from Dungeon Fantasy 14, if I'm not correct. He's 330 points, so should be a fairly significant adversary. Well, I'll close this disturbing image off, and let's just go and take a look at these various psi abilities that these individuals have. So first of all, a little bit about activating psi abilities. So in Dungeon Fantasy 14, your psi ability requires 1 fatigue point to activate, and it would stay up for a minute. And if you wanted to maintain it beyond that, it would be 1 fatigue point per minute to maintain, or it would be 1 fatigue point per attack for offensive capabilities. Now, in Dungeon Fantasy, if you use psionic powers, there's a chance you could attract a psionic danger. So if a psi activates a gift out of combat, or once after any battle in which psi was used at all, the GM rolls 3d. On a 6 or less, some psionic threat appears. But those odds rise to 9 or less in a locale where such dangers are present already, which one might think this manor house already exhibits. If I wanted to be nasty, I might even push that up to like 12. Okay, so that's activating psi abilities in Dungeon Fantasy Psi. We have to remember the rule of 16 and the use of psi. So basically, if a supernatural attack offers a resistance roll and the subject is living or sapient, the attacker's effective skill cannot exceed the higher of 16 and the defender's actual resistance. If it does, reduce it to that level. And here we have things like TK encumbrance. I just wanted to note that his TK strength is 12, and that's kind of the basic encumbrance levels for the strength of 12. And his TK move score is 12 hexes, which is crazy fast. And its basic lift is 29. All right, let's just jump back and take a look at some of these traits to explore them further. So first, he and Sarah both have a psi talent, and his is at 4. So psi talent is going to give you a +1 per level to all rolls, most often against IQ, will, or perception, to activate psionic abilities, analyze feedback from them, target psi attacks, and so on. Okay, so he has it at 4. I believe she has it at 2. Now, ergokinetic shield. So here you can form a shield that dissipates energy directed at your person. You acquire extra DR against those energies or attacks. So when it's on, when the shield is on or activated, you add its level of, in this case, 4 to your DR against these energy attacks. But it has no effect on material attacks or poison, disease effects that inflict direct injury via supernatural energies, for instance, death touch spells and skull spirit touches and so on. So we're talking about directed energy attacks for the most part. Now you can extend this protection to others by making a will -6 roll and paying an extra 2 fatigue points. Your psi talent of 4, in this case for Carol, would offset that from -6 to -2, I believe. And if you keep that up, it's going to cost you 3 fatigue points per minute. Everything in a 2-yard radius, including you, enjoys half your level of protection should you extend the protection to others. And every 5 points by which you make the roll lets you double the radius. And you can roll at an extra -1 if you want to include only allies in the area. Now, this is an ability where, if you flip it on, it's going to last a minute, right? And it's going to cost you 1 fatigue point to activate it. But what if you're suddenly attacked in combat, or you're surprised, or, combat just breaks out and you didn't have it on? Well, then you can pay 3 fatigue point to roll at will -4, again, modified by your psionic talent. So for Carol here, it would just be a straight will roll. Success switches it on, and it remains up for a minute and can stay on afterwards for the usual 1 fatigue point per minute. Okay. Let's take a look at psionic madness. This is deliciously bad. You can give anyone with a mind visions that make it hard for them to focus. So, you're going to have to take a concentrate maneuver, spend the fatigue, and then win a quick contest of will with your subject. And like regular spells in GURPS, you roll at -1 per yard distance from your target, at least at the level 1 version of this. And your psi talent aids your roll. And your target's mind shield benefits theirs. Now, this is where it gets deliciously bad. If you win, your victim is slightly crazy for minutes, equal to your margin of victory. Minutes. Any combat is not going to last minutes, as we know, unless, of course, you really want to throw some role-playing in there or something. And then it gets even nastier. The victim must make a will roll before each success roll that he tries. Now, if he succeeds in making the will roll, he's distracted by these visions and is at a -2 on his task. Okay, and that's bad enough. Got to make a will roll. If you succeed, you're at -2 on whatever task you're trying. But now it gets worse. If he fails, hallucinations block his sensory input, and his penalty on all tasks grows to -5 for the effect's duration. So if you fail that will check once, you're effectively at -5 for every success roll you try for however many minutes this thing affects you. And you have to keep making will rolls before success rolls throughout. So even though you might have that horrible -5 modifier because you failed the first will roll, you still have to make a will roll in order to basically try to do the success roll you wanted to do. And then you're at -5 to do it. So this is just bloody nasty. Critical failure on any of them means you freak out. And we treat him as unconscious, except he doesn't fall over. So, wow. Okay. So that's psionic madness. He's also got Mind Blast. Now, you can stun an opponent. Anything with a mind. You pay 1 fatigue point, you take the concentrate maneuver, and you roll a quick contest of will. Your roll again is at -1 yards, like a regular spell at level 1 here. Now, your psi talent adds to your roll, and your target's mind shield benefits theirs. If you win, the victim is stunned for 3 seconds, which can be a lifetime in GURPS combat. And then he can roll versus will every 3 seconds, then to recover. But if you make or win this quick contest of will by 5 or more, you knock your victim out for minutes equal to triple the margin. Oh my God, that's nasty. So weak-willed people are going to be falling left, right, and center around this guy. Okay, that's Mind Blast. Now we have Mind Reading. And Mind Reading is where you read the surface thoughts of what your subject is thinking or talking about right now. Again, you pay 1 fatigue point, you take concentrate maneuver, and win a quick contest of IQ versus the target's will, subject to the range modifiers on the size and speed range table. And he may add Mind Shield, and you can add your side talent to this contest. If you lose, you have a cumulative -2 per attempt to retry unless you wait an hour. If you win, well, you get a bit of information. They say here it's like eavesdropping. It's like finding out, from an orc how many of his pals are in the next room. And you get some bonuses to other skills. Now, the ability requires a shared language, but mentalists can acquire power-ups that work around this drawback. Okay, so he doesn't have those power-ups. Pyrokinetic Bolt. All right, so this is a visible effect. It's a bolt of flame that emanates from your forehead or your eyes if you prefer. It does 1d burning per level. So for him, his bolt would do 2d burn damage, and the attack counts as fire for all purposes. You can parry with this, but only against energy attacks rather than physical ones. So he ain't going to be able to burn a bullet, for instance. Now, this operates like psychokinetic lash. So Sarah has psychokinetic lash. We'll go and do a deep dive into that once we get to her character. He has telekinesis 12. So that's telekinesis at a strength of 12. So you can cause spooky action at a distance. So you take the concentrate maneuver on your turn, and you get a pair of remote invisible hands capable of carrying out 1 physical combat maneuver per turn, or that turn, sorry. You can attack to use a weapon, hurl an object, grapple someone. You can ready to pick something up, and so on. If you punch, grapple, or choke directly with the force, it's considered invisible. Range is 10 yards, and both the strength and move equal your level, which for him is 12. Okay, so I'm just going to walk away from that for now. Okay, that's all of his powers. Now let's go over to Sarah. Sarah has Ergokinetic Shield. I'm not going to go over that again, but she has Psychokinetic Lash. So while she can't send bolts of fire from her eyes or her forehead, she can send a bolt of pure psychokinetic force. She pays 1 fatigue point. She takes attack, all-out attack, or move an attack, rolls against her innate attack gaze to hit, applies the standard modifiers for ranged combat, and she does a standard ranged crushing attack. So The alerted target can dodge but not block or parry, and the highly visible shockwave or rippling air, if it hits, it does 1d crushing damage per level. So for her, it'll do 1d crushing. And DR protects normally, as long as it would affect crushing damage or psionics like psychic armor. So in this case, because it's a physical attack, not a crushing attack. Sorry, it's not an energy attack, right? I'm not sure that his ergokinetic shield is going to save him from this. It is wind that's hitting him. It's a shockwave. That's true. But I don't know that I would consider that to be an energy attack per se. Yeah. So we may have to look at that a little more closely. Now, you can use psychokinetic lash to parry certain attacks. Any physical blow that you could parry with a melee weapon, you can parry with this lash. So I think that comes back to this idea that this is this isn't a directed energy source so much as it is a physical attack of some kind. Anyway, if it works, subtract your damage dice. So in her case, 1d from the incoming attack before applying it to the DR. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, if you're listening and you think that perhaps the psychokinetic lash should be considered an energy attack, but it says here it's pure psychokinetic force. Yeah. All right, so that is the group of them for your consideration. And now, on second thought, as I look at this, I think that psychokinetic lash is pure psychokinetic force. I think because it is a form of energy. Here it says it's a visible shockwave of rippling air. So I think what I'm going to rule is that it would actually be considered energy directed at someone. But again, if you disagree, throw some comments down, or maybe you have a rules clarification somewhere. To me, I'm just thinking, hey, if this is sending out a visible shockwave, to me that is a form of directed energy, vice, say, clubbing someone. Anyway, those are my thoughts as I gave that a bit more pondering time. Okay. Now, what if we were to look at whether or not some of these disadvantages that the protagonists have are going to play havoc on this combat? So what I'm going to do is open each character sheet, and we'll see about the disadvantages that they have and how that might affect the outcome of the battle itself. Okay, so if I go down to so what I do with my characters using this amazing GURPS rule set that is available on Fantasy Grounds Unity is I like to build in their advantages and disadvantages in terms of self-control rules, along with the checks they need to make for consciousness, death, and fright. So one of the first things I realize is that the good Magi here suffers from chronic pain. Now, if we open up chronic pain and take a look at what that's all about, you'll see here that he has an injury that leaves him in severe pain on a regular basis, perhaps even constantly. So he has it at the mild level. So you roll against the frequency of appearance for your chronic pain once per day. And if you roll below this number, you suffer a bout of pain. So we're going to roll to see if the major does suffer from his chronic pain from that old war wound. Maybe it's a piece of shrapnel that just they could not remove, but it every so often it aggravates something. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to roll against the chronic pain. And on a 9 or less, he is going to have that bout of pain. And he rolls a 15, so he does not suffer from his chronic pain. Okay, I think that's it for the major. Chronic pain, and he's got flashbacks, mild. Let's just take a look at that for a second. So you tend to experience flashbacks when under stress. Okay, well, he's not under stress at the moment. In any situation the Jim feels is stressful, he'll roll 3D. And on a 6 or less, you have the flashback. Okay, so this combat perhaps could activate the flashbacks. So the duration for mild is 2d seconds. And the attendant hallucinations give a -2 in all skill rolls, but they are minor. You realize you're experiencing a flashback. Okay. And anything else here? Not really. Okay, so the major, you succeeded in staving off that chronic pain. Okay, so next we have Detective Robert McDonald, and he has alcoholism. So he's got this at -15 points, and yeah, so it's an addiction that is insidious. It's worth -15 points. So most of the time he can confine his drinking to the evenings and therefore function normally. However, anytime you're in the presence of alcohol, you must roll versus will to avoid partaking. And a failed roll means you go on a binge. So I think that for the perspective of this, we're not going to have him worry about the alcoholism affecting him for this combat. He's callous. He has a code of honor with the police. He's curious. He's got his duty, which I'm just going to say for game purposes, he's already on it. He's got nightmares. He's overconfident, and he's a workaholic. Okay, so let's just take a look at nightmares here. So you are tormented each night by horrible nightmares, and sometimes so harrowing they might affect your efficiency during waking hours. So make a self-control roll each morning upon awakening. And if you fail, you suffered nightmares, and this costs you 1 fatigue point that you can only recover through sleep. Okay, so let's have him do his self-control roll for nightmares. So he needs to roll a 12 or less. All right, so here we go. We'll take a look at nightmares. We'll go over to his abilities tab, to other, and here it is, his disadvantage for nightmares on a 12 or less. So if he rolls a 12 or less, then he will not be affected by the nightmares. So he resists quite often. And he rolled an 11. So he will not be affected by his nightmares from the night before. Okay, so that is Robert. Now, let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about the overconfidence or the duty or the curious, all these things he's engaged in as he's heading towards the manor. Alrighty then. So we've got Sarah. Now, Sarah has an addiction, her sense of duty and stubbornness. So let's just take a look at her addiction here. So it's very expensive to heroin, incapacitating, and totally addictive and illegal. So she has to use it daily or suffer withdrawal. Yeah, so let's see here. It's incapacitating and illegal. All right, so yeah, heroin is very expensive, incapacitating, totally addictive, and illegal. Okay, so now, right, so a stimulating drug leaves you feeling energized until it wears off. An incapacitating drug, which heroin is, renders you unconscious or just blissfully, uselessly drowsy for about 2 hours. Right? Okay. Yeah. And let's see here. So withdrawal, sometimes voluntary, otherwise you must try to give up your addiction. Well, I don't think she's trying that. All right, so for minor addictions, this is worth minus 40. Yeah, so it's not even, yeah, it's definitely not a minor addiction. Okay, so I'm going to say that Sarah has not been able to get her fix on heroin for about 2 days now. And that's going to require her to make 2 health rolls. And if she fails those health rolls, she's going to take 1 hit point of damage for each day of withdrawal that she fails. So here's the first day's roll. And she fails by 1, so she's going to take a hit point of damage. And here we go again for the second day. And she failed that too. So she's going to be down 2 hit points going into this combat because of not getting her fix on of heroin. I believe they called it chasing the dragon back in Victorian times. Okay, so that is Sarah. And then we come to... hang on a second now. Did Sarah have anything else that I should be aware of? The addiction, sensitivity, and stubbornness. Okay. Now we come to Everett Holloway. And Everett, he has... Let's see. He's charitable. He has a delusion. He's hidebound. He's incurious. He's a light sleeper. And he has this odious personal habit of continual humming and pacifism. He's also unfit, and he has xenophilia. So if we take a look at light sleeper, whenever you sleep in an uncomfortable place, or whenever there is more than the slightest noise, you must make a health roll in order to fall asleep. And on failure, you can try again after an hour, but will suffer all the usual effects of missing sleep. All right. I'm going to say that he was able to find some decent accommodations on his trip up to Inverness and not be too concerned about this whatsoever. I don't think unfit plays into this at all, except that, it's going to affect some of his roles in combat. And with xenophilia, I think he is just going to be instinctively curious about going into this house one way or the other. So I'm not going to see that that's any negative draw for him. He wants to go in. Okay, so that should be all of them for their potential disadvantages. Well, perhaps I'll go back to Robert MacDonald here, and I will take him down a fatigue point for, say, workaholic and missed sleep. That sounds reasonable. Okay, so that's where they're going to be in terms of entering into the manor to confront Carol Wysite. Let's take a look at the map that they are going to fight in. So there's Torshelley House. All right, so as you can see, we have Carol Wysite, the Lord of the Manor, in the center here in a pentagram. We've got Major Flewelling bursting through the door. We've got Robert MacDonald bursting through the door, Sarah behind him, and Everett behind him. And I want to just show you a few things about this map. First of all, there's candelabra everywhere, and that is what's lighting this room. You'll notice that this door is open and facing the north. There is some fine sand here, and there are some interesting footprints that have been placed in the sand. Something's come into this room. I wonder what that could be. Pulling back and looking at the pentagram, you can see that there are candles here on each of the points, and it's hard to see, but if I zoom in, that's actually a skull with a candle on it. And then in the floor, at each of the points, is a tormented face. All right. And then in the center, you've got Carol here. You've got a statue that has some candles on it and a book, or a place for a book on that statue. And at the base of the statue are more candles. So that is the physical layout of the battle space, or the battle map. Okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll say they've tried their best to reason with him. I'm going to say that they've moved in at different spaces to try to, as they were talking, trying to convince him to let go, and we'll sort of set it up like that they've, sort of circambulated the room a little bit. And I'm going to say that the detective, being the police officer, has his gun ready. We'll say he's pulled his pistol out of his pocket, and we'll say that Major Flewelling has equally put his hand in his pocket in preparation for possibly having to use armed resistance. And Everett here is telling everyone to calm down. There's no need to fight. And, officer, please put your, Robert, put your weapon down. And Sarah, at this point, is going to, she will have activated her ergokinetic shield. But I'm going to say that Carol has not at this point. So we're going to begin with Major Flewelling. So seeing that Carol is not about to stop, and he's being stubborn and resistant to this, he's going to take a ready maneuver, and he is going to withdraw his pistol from his coat pocket. All right, so Carol is going to spend a fatigue point, and he is going to concentrate on, let's see, he is going to activate Mind Blast on Detective Robert MacDonald. So he is going to, let's see, how many yards away is he? So he is 4 yards away. So that would be a -4 to his ability. His level, which includes the bonus from his psionic talent, is 19. At -4, that brings his skill down to 15, which lowers it for the purposes of the rule of 16. So I'll put a -4 onto the modifier box, and let's see if he can successfully affect the Scottish detective with a Mind Blast.